Hey there, it's Dusty Thunder again with my Protect the Cake and rocking some Mid-America RV, and I have another AITA story for you. This one is, am I the astronaut for letting my sister walk me down the aisle despite my fiancé and his family's objections? I, 23 female, was raised by my older half-sister, 32 female. I never met my dad, and our mom OD'd when I was 10 and my sister was 19. Damn. My sister's dad was still in her life and was willing to support her, but not me. My sister chose to be my guardian, and her family's father went low contact with her as a result. In order to raise me, she gave up a lot. Her relationship with her father, college, her 20s, and so much more. A few months ago, I got engaged, and I told my sister that in addition to being my maid of honor, I also wanted her to be the one to walk me down the aisle. All my life, she's had to fulfill so many roles for me, big sister, mother, father, friend, that it only felt right that those multiple roles be honored on one of the biggest days of my life. My sister was ecstatic, and so was I, but when I brought it up with my fiancé, he objected. My future in-laws are very traditional, and my fiancé had always expected that his wedding would be a very traditional white wedding. He said that it was great that my sister was my maid of honor, but that her having two roles wasn't, and that it wasn't appropriate for her to walk me down the aisle since that's usually done by a man. Dude, did you say those words, man? Come on now. Apparently, his family had assumed that my future father-in-law would be the one to give me away since I don't have any male relatives. I told him that I appreciate his father being willing to fill that role, but that the one who made me the person I am is my sister, and so it's right that she be the one to give me away. It turned into an argument that spread to my in-laws. My mother-in-law called me a few days ago to say that although she understands how important my sister is to me, that it's also my fiancé's wedding, and I shouldn't be putting my sister before him on this day. Shouldn't he also not be putting his parents before her on this day? I definitely heard her on that, but this is still important to me. At this point, my sister has even said that she doesn't mind just being the maid of honor and that she doesn't want to turn my happy day into something stressful. So now it's just me holding out on being stubborn. But I really don't want to concede on this point. Am I being the asshole? Edit! I did not expect this to blow up, and I haven't been able to read through all of your verdicts and comments yet, but I just want to clarify on some of the inquiries which I've seen repeated so far. Are the in-laws contributing to the wedding? Yes. In fact, they're paying for about 75% of it since I'm still in school and don't have the money to put towards a wedding, the scale that the fiancé wanted. Does your fiancé have sisters? No, he has 2 younger brothers. Did he ask your sister for your hand? He did, actually. She also helped him custom design the engagement ring. She showed me their group text, and at one point they spent 3 weeks trying to decide between 5 different diamonds. Maybe I should just propose with an infinity gauntlet. It was very sweet and cute. What about when you have children? Have you talked about children? Because of a medical condition, I am infertile, though neither of us feel a particular strong urge to be parents anyway. But we also know we're still young and that may change, but even if it does, it would be very far in the future. I know all too well that things happen. People leave or fall down or die, so even if we got to the point of wanting to adopt, it would have to be when I'm financially stable enough that even alone I'd be able to support and care for a child without it being a major blow to my or the child's quality of life. Can you walk down the aisle by yourself? That was my sister's suggestion when she said she was fine just being maid of honor, but I rejected it. Because of her, I never walked alone on the worst days of my life, so I'm definitely not going to walk alone on the happiest. Your sister is amazing. She is, as far as I'm concerned, the definition of strength and love, and I'm collecting all the kind things you have said to show her because she doesn't realize how amazing she is, and it's a GD crime. Please update us. I absolutely will. You all have given me a lot to think about, including underlying motivations and larger implications. I'm going to be taking a few days to sit with that and with myself and my feelings, but I promise to make an update about how I've decided to move forward. Wow. Okay. So back to the original question. It was, am I the astronaut for letting my sister walk me down the aisle despite my fiancé and his family's objections? Does the fact that they're paying for 75% of this give them the ability to veto that? I don't believe that it does. I don't think anybody can veto the bride about the wedding. And I think anybody who attempts to is treading into dangerous territory. Also, this is the most important person in OP being brought up. Why would you object to this? Why does that have to be a man? Even though this is a traditional wedding, it can be, everything else can be traditional here. You are not marrying a traditional bride. OP, you are not a traditional person in the sense of being raised by platonic parents and having a normal life, which is subjective anymore. Like nobody has a normal life anymore. It is 2023. Families are blended. That is normal. Kids get raised by other people in the family. That is pretty normal now as well. The rigid structures of this traditional wedding, because he wants a traditional wedding. His parents want a traditional wedding. This is going to come down to a matter of control, right? So this is something that means a lot to OP. This means a lot to the bride. In-laws are opposed to it, but it's your wedding. Even if they're paying for it, that gives them a say, that doesn't give them a final vote. Bride and groom have final vote. And I understand they're butting heads here, but this is about who walks the bride down the aisle. I don't think that the groom gets to veto that. And if he wants to, I think you guys have some stuff to talk about before you actually go through with this process, because this is something that is very meaningful to you, and it is symbolically wanting to ignore a part of who you are for this ceremony where he accepts who you are completely. There's a juxtaposition going on here that doesn't make any sense. And it seems like he is just kind of the ass puppet for his parents here, barking against it because it's not traditional. What? You're not going to have a traditional marriage. You don't have a traditional family. Nothing about this is going to be traditional on your side of things. And if that's not what he wants, he's marrying the wrong girl. So this becomes does he love you? Or does he love the thought of getting married? And he's going to have to go to bat to his parents for you and for this relationship, because they need to understand that as well. This is not just someone playing a role in a wedding. This is a symbolic representation of someone who was a linchpin in your life. And if they can't respect that, you're going to have much bigger problems in life than the wedding. When you maybe decide to have kids someday, in-law control may be implemented, where you decide to live, where you do holidays. All of these things could be further controlled if you let them have control in this place. But people not respecting who you are is the biggest red flag of all to me here. So the initial question of, am I the asshole for letting my sister walk me down the aisle despite my fiance and his family's objections? No. Not the asshole. And I think that you need to fight this hard, because if they're not going to accept who you are, and who you are means all of who you are, then you shouldn't be getting married. And maybe it needs to come down to that conversation with your fiance here. And then he can walk that conversation back to the in-laws. When they're talking about a traditional wedding, I think, them saying that it needs to be a man who walks her down the aisle kind of gives an insight to what kind of traditional they're talking about. There needs to be enough pain presented here where he understands and gets his parents to understand too. It would be completely different, and they wouldn't have a problem with it, which shows how shallow and shitty this actually is. Because they want it to be a male. And they even said in here, at least her fiance, I think, said that it's traditionally done by a man. You don't have a traditional bride here, so do you want it to be less meaningful? Or do you want your bride to actually feel happy and fulfilled and be satisfied with her wedding? That's a pretty important box to check there, pal. The line is, who gives this woman away? And who did the fiance ask for permission? Ask for her hand? I think he sealed the deal right then whenever he asked her for OP's hand. He then gave her the nod that she would be the person walking her down the aisle. And if they buck to that at all, well, they can't. It's already done. He already done did it.